All right, we're following all the developments unfolding in Charlottesville, and what we've been telling you since recently finding out that 19 people were plowed down as a car ran down the, what we're looking at right now is some earlier fight scenes that broke out early in the morning when our Doug McCalloway was there, and his videographer captured this as well. And Doug's going to be joining us in just a few moments because he's following all the latest for us live in Charlottesville. And Doug, I was alluding to the fact that 19 people were injured in the vehicular incident, and one person, as we understand, has now died from that. Pick it up from there or where things are right now. It appears to be very calm right there, and certainly that is something we want to see, some calm coming to that area.
And the mayor urged that, the mayor of Charlottesville urged that just a little while ago when he tweeted news of the death of one of these pedestrians. He said he urges everybody just to go home. And we're seeing some evidence of that, although this is a cordoned off area of the street of Water Street here in downtown Charlottesville. I don't know what the rest of the city looks like at this point, but as you can see, Gregory, if you can pan off to your left a little bit, some of I believe these are Virginia State Police dressed up in their riot gear. So I think that the city is going to be well staffed up with authority and police officers as the dusk falls and night comes in, because there is tremendous anger here, and there will be even more anger after this car accident. We thought the worst of it had subsided when they cleared out Emancipation Park from all the white nationalists who had gathered there. And things were calming down at that point after some bouts of tear gas and people being bashed over the heads with sticks and things of that sort. There were multiple injuries there, multiple arrests there. So we thought things were calming down when this accident happened. And according to eyewitnesses, this had all the signs of a deliberate attack. Here's one of the videographers who shot the video that so many people have been watching this afternoon.
Based on my footage, which you can clearly see the guy going at a very high speed into people, from other footage we've seen and other witnesses that were at the other end of the street who said they saw the car going slow and they allowed it to go through because they thought it was a cop, and then they saw him speed on the gas right into people. And then when he backed out and tried to get away, the other witnesses saw some white nationalists at the corner telling him where to go.
Now, we've heard that just from John Ziegler, that interview. We have not heard that from police or from Virginia State Police. They are investigating this right now. But if what Ziegler says proves to be true in this investigation, what we have here is a domestic terrorist attack committed by a white national. We have not confirmed that. Police have not confirmed that. But eyewitnesses seem to think that in a very, very strong way. So a terrible, terrible situation here, and we hope that the night brings some peace and calm.
Indeed.
Back to you.
Doug McCalloway reporting for us from Charlottesville. Great work as always, Doug. Thank you, sir.
All right, let's get more insight now from Don Calloway. He is the founder of Pine Street Strategies and former member of the Missouri House of Representatives. Also with us is Ron Christie, a former special assistant to President George W. Bush and deputy assistant to Vice President Dick Cheney. Thank you, gentlemen, for talking to us. First, I just want to get to the president's remarks he made earlier, where he strongly condemned these acts. Earlier today, he also condemned them on Twitter, calling for people to include all, meaning that he doesn't want people from either side to be spewing this type of hatred. Also, without directly naming David Duke, the White House has remained to distance itself from a man who is at the center of all of this and likes to somehow use Trump's presidency as a justification for all of this. And again, the president coming out and saying that this hatred and bigotry has been going on for many years, and he will not stand for it. Ron, first of all, your reaction to the president addressing the situation in Charlottesville today.
Well, good afternoon to you, Julie. I think the president needs to stand and have a very firm and very resolute voice in the situation that we see happening in the Commonwealth of Virginia in Charlottesville. I wanted the president to take a step further. James Lankford, the senator from Oklahoma, I think said it best, that we as Americans will not condone any form of bigotry, any form of hatred in this country. And President Trump, while he said that he condemned bigotry on all sides, I think he needs to be very specific and say, we will not allow white nationalists to have a voice, to have a platform to spew this form of hatred in our country. And he really needs to go that step forward, Julie.
Don, obviously these people had at first a right to protest. There were rallies you have to get permission for, and so as a right of free speech, they had every right. Then you have the counter protesters that came in, and that's when it really got ugly. So what do you say to, local and government officials trying to tame this so that these demonstrators, if they want to come out and they want to protest, they have the right to do so, but in order to do it calmly and peacefully, is it too little too late for that, considering the situation that we've been watching with one person dead now due to an intentional car accident? We don't know the driver of that car, so we don't know who was behind it, but nonetheless, this has become deadly.
Yeah, Julia, of course, everyone has the right to peacefully assemble and to protest, but I don't know that the white nationalists began with a peaceful assembly to begin with. What we do know is that hate speech has no place in this country and is not protected under the First Amendment. And I agree with Juan that the president has not failed yet, but his tweet today and his statement today were nowhere near strong enough. The president refuses to call out white, disgusting, subhuman, I use that word human loosely, racists for what they are. He refuses to condemn David Duke. He refuses to condemn Richard Spencer. And in fact, he's given their platform place in his White House. He thinks it makes him a strong leader to talk about the fire and the fury. Well, there's fire and fury 2 hours south of where we live here in D.C. in Charlottesville, Virginia. And he has to step up and be the leader today. It can't wait any longer. People are dead, and this country is torn apart. And it's really unacceptable that sorry tweet doesn't get the job done. This is the president's opportunity to show that he really is a leader for every American.
Ron, he also said in his statement that he had just gotten off the phone with the governor of Virginia, and he said, and I'm quoting, "We agreed the hate and division must stop and must stop right now. We have to come together, and Americans with love for nation and true affection, I say this strongly, true affection for each other, our country, is doing well in so many ways." Then he went on to talk about record unemployment and how the country is bettering itself in many ways, but in many ways it's not when you see the hate that's spilling onto the streets here.
Right.
So then what more could the president possibly have said today that you believe would actually resonate with these people? Because it doesn't seem that these people
Julie,
can be reasoned with. So really, no matter what the president says and how much he denounces and disavows David Duke, these people hate.
No,
You can't.
you're right. You're right, Julie.
Fight hate with words.
Don, the question was directed to me. Julie, let me say this very clearly. For having worked for the President of the United States for 4 years, the bully pulpit, the opportunity that you have to speak not only to the American people, but to citizens around the world to say that we do not stand for this deplorable conduct, we do not stand for this deplorable language. The President can step up. I would encourage him to step before the nation tonight and really denounce this form of violence. The one thing I would say that I would disagree with my friend Don here is that we don't have racist people in the White House. We don't have people who are spewing this ideology in the White House. And Don said that in his last comment. This is where we stand together as Americans, not as Republicans, not as Democrats, but we stand together united against hatred and against bigotry. And we could put politics aside for this one day to say this form of conduct will not be tolerated. We will not stand for it because that's who we are as Americans.
Don, these words are pretty strong. I mean, the president says no matter color, creed, religion, or party, we are all Americans first. We love our country. And he goes on to talk about how proud we should be to be citizens of this country. All of these people are Americans. That seems to me the president, hopefully would be able to resonate with some of these people. I don't know, Don, if it's possible, but don't you believe that the president there is addressing the fact that, color, creed, no matter what it is that's sparking this kind of violence needs to stop?
Julie, I'm glad that he made a statement of some sort. The statement does not go far enough. The president continues to refuse to call out the alt-right because they are some part of his political base. The president continues to, he did not speak last week on the bombing, mosque bombing in Minnesota. This statement is not far enough, and I believe that Juan even agrees with me. You have to alienate white supremacists at every turn. This president refuses to do so. And you know what? If he were to do that, then 99.9% of God-fearing Americans would absolutely agree with him. But he somehow refuses to alienate, to push these people to the side, let us know that there's no place in our society for them, and he continues with these very circuitous statements. He needs to come out and forcefully say that there's no room for racial supremacy on either side, but he particularly needs to come out and say it with respect to these people who did this in Charlottesville last night and continuing through today.
Ron, the president also tweeted moments ago, maybe you can weigh in on reaction here. Minutes ago, he wrote, "What is vital now is a swift restoration of law and order and the protection of innocent lives." And he hashtagged Charlottesville. He is trying.
He is trying, Julie, and I think our governor, Terry McAuliffe, has done a great job of mobilizing the National Guard in the Commonwealth of Virginia. The people on the ground, of course, in Charlottesville have done a very good job of trying to keep order, but we need to recognize a very fundamental and very important fact here. We're Americans. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. We have the opportunity as Americans to stand shoulder to shoulder and recognize that we will not stand for this deplorable acts of violence and hatred. And that is the sort of message that I think that we need to resonate not only here in the United States but around the world of who we stand for. So yes, I do applaud the local law enforcement, the National Guard, and what the president has said. But again, not Republican, not Democrat, but we stand forth as Americans to say we will not tolerate this behavior.
Ron Christie, Don Calloway, thank you very much. We appreciate you both for coming in, talking about
Thanks,
this
Julie.
with us.
Thanks, Julie.
Kelly.